Chapter 9. The Gift of Sir Henry Glow. As the boy and the fox lay on the warm sand, still reeling from their experience, they both were startled to their feet by a sudden movement of the sand next to them. A hole began to form in the sand, its sides rapidly falling downward in whirlpool fashion. The hole got larger, and to the boys and the fox's amazement, a mole the size of a grown pig rose out of it. The mole had glasses similar to the fox's, and he wore a green and red plaid vest. The mole looked around, shook the sand off his head, and in a melodic voice exclaimed, "Top of the morning to you. My name is Sir Henry. Yes, indeed, Sir Henry Glow. I'm glad to have you here this morning. This is my home. You must be looking for the book. I've got it. It's right here. And you know what, boy? I've been waiting for you. I've been wanting to give it to you for quite some time. It's right here." He pointed to a spot next to the boy's feet and instructed him to reach into the sand. When the boy hesitated, the mole said, "Trust me. Put your hand down there and get it. It's a gift. It's yours for the taking." The boy hesitated, remembering the gift Felicia had offered. He looked at the fox for assurance, then decided to trust the mole. He put his hand down into the sand. He reached around, and finally felt a tiny square object. Knowing he was supposed to find a book, his hand kept searching, but nothing except the tiny square object was in the hole, so he finally pulled it out. He was surprised to see that it was in fact a teeny tiny book. The boy looked at it, and with disapproval written across his face, he said, "I can't read this. It's too tiny." There were tiny inscriptions across the front of the book, but he couldn't make them out. So he put his fingers close together and opened up the little book. Suddenly, it expanded to the size of a regular book. It had pictures on one page and words on the other, and each page glowed with a distinct inner light. The boy turned it back over to see what was written on the front, and it read, "Book of Life, open always." Still cautious, the boy shut the book, and presto, it was small again. He opened it again, and it grew to full size. "Wow, a magical book," thought the boy. "What a treasure." As the boy looked at the words on the inside pages, he read the following: "Be kind to one another." He turned the page again to a new picture and new words that said, "Honesty is the best policy." The boy thought, too simple." The fox looked at the boy and said, "It is." The boy closed the book and thought, "I'll read more of this later." The book became tiny once again and fit perfectly into the fourth pocket on the boy's pouch. He looked around the cabin now and said, "I need to get out of here, Sir Henry. I'm on my way to the Triple Peaks." The mole said, "Would you care for some tea and cookies?" The boy repeated that he really must be going. The mole gave in, sad to see his guests going so soon. "Well, if you must go, you should take the jet streams, my boy. That's faster than climbing out." "The jet streams? What's that?" "Ah, follow me," said the mole. He walked across the sandbar and waded across the warm water to a hard clay ledge. Air was rushing up from a perfectly round hole. "Just step right into the blowhole," said the mole. The boy looked into the hole and thought, "I can't see the bottom." He was learning to be more cautious, so before stepping blindly into the hole, he put his hand out over it. No sooner had he placed his hand over the hole when a gentle breeze lifted it right up with a firm, steady force. The boy picked up a small stone and tossed it into the hole. "Oh, wow! Look at that!" he exclaimed, as the rocks rose into the air. He trusted Sir Henry Glow, so he stepped into the jet stream. The fox jumped into his arms, and the warm, gentle breeze caught them up and gradually lifted them up toward the top of the cabin. As the boy neared the top, he could see the rock ceiling clearly and worried he'd be blown right into it. But the ceiling opened up, and he and the fox passed through it safely. The boy had visions of ending up back in the midst of the anger and lie creatures, but as the ground snapped shut under them, he realized they had ascended to the top of the crevice, about 4 feet from the edge. Walking over to the edge, he looked down, and there he saw the anger and lie creatures far away at the bottom. They were still swarming and thrashing each other, trying to get into the opening where he and the fox had magically escaped. The boy, suddenly feeling a sense of power, realized that he was no longer in danger, and he yelled down to the creatures, "Hey, suckers, I'm up here!" All heads turned in unison and looked up at the boy. The anger people shook their claws at him and stomped their feet and snorted, "Get down here, we need you!" The lie people yelled out with nauseating sweetness, "Come back down here, we won't hurt you, we want to talk to you." The boy reached into his belt and pulled out the tiny book, and he held it up high and said, "Hey, suckers, I've got the book of life," and he waved it back and forth. The anger and lie people clamoured together, saying, "Oh no, he has it, we must stop him before he realizes." The boy and the fox turned away from the scene below and walked over a small rise heading towards the Triple Peaks. As they continued on their way, they found the new terrain to be quite pretty, full of rolling grassy hills. Their path led them down into small bowls and up over rounded knolls. The fox asked the boy if he thought it had been a good idea to taunt the creatures. The boy answered him cockily, and the fox dropped the subject. Later, travelling easily through the foothill country, the boy began to really think about the fox's question. He looked at his palm and was a little humbled. Wanting to take another look at the tiny book, he requested a short stop. He sat on the grass and took the book from his belt. He opened it to the middle and read out loud, "Your body is your gift." "What's that mean, Fox? How about blind people? If that's a gift, that's some gift." The fox answered, "That's an honest question. Not all things are easily understood. Blind people have the ability to realize their other senses in almost magical ways." The boy lay back on the soft grass and thought about the singer Stevie Wonder and everything he had accomplished. He raised up and silently read more of the words of life. After some time, he commented, "These are such silly, simple things. Simple sayings, Fox." "Young man," said the fox, "happiness and success are simple. About that book being silly, you are wrong."